hi to everybody and their neighbor. Welcome back to Gear and Gigs. I'm your host, Jetstone. So glad you could stop by today. I am with one of my common compatriots, Stacy Venn. Stacy, how are you today?
Doing good. How are you doing, Jet?
I'm doing great. As awesome. I got some pedal convincing to do, as regular viewers know. Stacy is, of course, a self-professed official pedal skeptic with the official seal to prove it. So I'm here to convince him otherwise, to show him the benefits of pedals possibly, and why we like carrying around big boards with wires and cables and knobs and switches and lights and messing with all that as opposed to just plug and I'm starting to... No, they're still good. They're still good, and I'm going to show you why today with a pedal he has not seen before, I'm sure. All right. Are you ready? Should we do the drum roll, please?
All right. Here we go.
Pulling the magic cloth of magic. Wow, it didn't go off. Oh, it didn't go. There we go.
Merlin's cloth.
It is the JDM Vindicator.
Vindicator.
It's the Vindicator. That's right. It's the JDM, which is Joe Doc music, but he goes by JDM. It used to be called the Tone Master for reasons that will become obvious here shortly, but is now called the Vindicator, named after an Arthur Lee band, the Vindicators, that one of his buddies played guitar in.
Okay.
It's a combination, essentially, a Rangemaster and a Tone Bender. Tone Master, Tone Master, right? So it's a fuzz, and it's a treble boost. Of course, treble boost is a bit of a misnomer. Treble boosts don't only boost treble frequencies, and in this one, it's got a trick up its sleeve. In fact, a couple of tricks up its sleeve that take it beyond just the traditional, but still keeping it pretty traditional. It's all hand wired, it's all analog. It uses vintage circuitry in there to get its magic, and it's all hand tuned. Each piece is hand tuned. A Rangemaster and a Tone Bender would set you back quite a bit. This thing's $169, so it's pretty nice.
Reasonable.
Pretty reasonable. Yeah, it is. Runs on a standard 9-volt, which is also a bit unusual for those pedals, so that's kind of cool. And takes up not a lot of real estate, which we like. And it's pretty simple. They're independent too, so they each have a switch, so they're totally independent. You can run them both in series, in which case, if I'm not mistaken, I shouldn't say. I don't know for sure which one's first. It feels like the boost is last, but I'm not sure. And they do work differently when they're together than they do individually, at least because of the way they combine, which that'll be obvious. So today's signal chain, I'm going to be using our trusty Telecaster 59. I think it's 59 reissue, if I'm not mistaken. Our amp will be our 2-Rock over there. You see, it's our 2-Rock Studio Pro 35. Just the best amp for pedals ever, probably. It just loves pedals like crazy. So that going into a 2-Rock cabinet with 2 12s, only micing up one of them, with our vintage tube mic going into a Focusrite ISA1 preamp up into our Digico board for A to D converter, and then straight to Zoom. No post-processing. I do have a touch of reverb on the board. I'm looking over here at my console. I got a touch of reverb on the board so it doesn't sound quite so dry. And we'll establish our dry tone, actually, here in a second. I will turn off the room mic. I've got a room mic up here. I'll turn that off so you won't pick that up, and it'll only be the big mic there on the cabinet that's doing everything. So let me run through some dry tones, and then we'll get back to the pedal. Okay, pretty basic, not too bright. not the brightest telly. It's kind of a nice middle range telly. But we've got a treble booster. Hey, that's awesome. We've got a treble booster and we've got a fuzz. So let's talk about the booster first. It has enough boost to drive the amp into distortion, but that'll also drive my preamp into distortion because I have it set for a lower level. So trust me when I say it can take it up to distortion that's pretty honking, but we'll show you a little bit about that. Distortion that's pretty honking. That's what, musicians just make up new phrases, and if you're hip, you just go with it, and then you start using it, and then it comes back around the world to you in a couple of years. You're like, hey, I came up with that honking thing.
That's right. I kind of knew what you meant, though.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's got an EQ that can take it from a treble boost to a full frequency boost, or anywhere in between. So that's kind of cool. You can go the traditional route, or you can really just give it a straight ahead across the board boost. I believe all the way left is the trebliest. But I'll kick it on in a setting that I left it in when I was messing around with it earlier, and then we'll take it from there. So here's volume at about 1226, 1227. The clock is a little indefinite here, but it's just a little past 12, and the EQ is at 9 o'clock.
Alrighty.
8:52. It's very close to 9 o'clock. So dry first, and then that.
Right.
So it has a lot of effect right away. And it has a nice vintage, to me, my ears, rounding off of things. Giving it the treble, but not spiky treble. So let me...
it didn't seem like it was really treble boost usually kind of like, okay, is it gonna make it really bright or what? But it does seem like it did just a boost of all the frequencies, seemingly. So
well, let's roll the. I'll leave the boost or the what do they call it? The boost. I'll leave that at 12 o'clock. In fact, I'll knock it back to actual 12 o'clock, and let me sweep the EQ and let's see what that does. So as I thought, all the way left is like the treble, and all the way to the right is a full boost. Now let me back it down so it's not giving us distortion, but it's just giving us a bigger sound. And I'll go to the full band. It adds a bit of grit, makes it a little bit more bluesy, I guess. I don't think of this guitar as particularly hot, but something about this pickup and that circuit, when I'm on the bridge pickup, it just wants to immediately go into some kind of an overdrive. It doesn't want to like just clean up. So, but it is supposed to be replicating a vintage circuit in some respects. It's gonna do that, I think.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. We've talked a few times about the effect like becoming the thing, This
Right.
seems more like it's more additive and supporting.
It really changes the way it operates when you add it to the fuzz. So let's go over to the fuzz section and take a look at that, and then we'll see how they work together. So we'll turn that off for now. Now the fuzz has got a bias, which can turn it from, I don't want to say spitty and Velcro-y like they get sometimes. It doesn't go quite that far, I don't think, to my ears. At least I couldn't get it to do that before. But it definitely goes from a shorter, more staccato fuzz to a really maxed out, super smooth fuzz. So you can get all that kind of stuff that's in there. It's got a fuzz amount, it's got the bias, and then it's got a volume so you can match the overall volume. Once again, I'll start off with the setting I kind of left it in. So here's our clean.
Yeah, not bad. It's
Organic.
real. Yeah, real. It's not giving you that kazoo vibe, right? That you get out of
The
fuzz
kazoo
tones.
vibe, the infamous kazoo. Yeah, it's more faces or humble pie sort of overdrive
right.
than it is that kazoo overdrive. But I know what you mean. I know once again, when you think Rangemaster, Tone Bender, you think bright and piercing, but a lot of that, I think, in our minds is because number one, the amps that those guys were using at the time were stuff like AC 30s, which are already
Bright.
bright
Yeah.
and piercing. So it's like, why would and we always kind of thought, why would you do that? But it's, once again, it's not. It's a bit of a misnomer to call them those things. A fuzz doesn't necessarily have to be fuzzy. It can be overdrivey, which is at that setting what that is. So let me mess with the bias and let's see how fuzzy we can actually get it.
All right.
You can definitely get some of that spittiness if you try.
Yeah. Yeah. You can dial in the kazoo.
Yeah, or a trombone. It sounded like the trombone player just left in disgust. Like, I'm out of here. That's it. That's it. So it can get kind of that spitty thing. Now they recommend turning your volume down to get classic fuzz. So let me mess with that.
All right. They got a notch filter on it.
I'm not sure that's the classic fuzz. Maybe I turned it down too far. Hang on. Sorry, I was having too much fun. My apologies. So that's a medium. We've got fuzz at 3 o'clock. We've got the bias at about 1 o'clock, and the volume all the way up, pretty much right there, to get that particular sound. But then the guitar is lowered quite a bit. I'd probably say it's down to about 7. I want to try the Danish P trick of lowering the tone. So let's see what that does. Because sometimes if you lower the tone all the way, keep your volume up, you can get some interesting fuzz effects.
Yeah.
So the higher the bias, the best that tone trick works, because you can see I was kind of losing some of the higher strings there, but with the bias the other way, it didn't do that, because now I've got the bias back at about 10 o'clock, and I had to compensate with the volume, of course, and I had the fuzz all the way up at that one point, but it definitely is capable of that real fluty, almost synthesizer-y sort of a thing. I haven't tried them both together, so let's do a little of that. I'll find kind of an in-between, middle-of-the-road fuzz, and then we'll add a boost to that and see where we can get.
All right.
I like it better with both.
Yeah, that's a pretty good tone for chunking along.
It's got a bluesy, rootsy feel to it for sure. Feels like that 60s kind of stuff when you're playing it. Now there's a switch on the back that's low and high that decides on the fuzz sound. It's been on low, so we're going to flip it to high and see what that does. that sounds like. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah. There's your 60s.
That is total 60s city. So now I want to go back to just the fuzz and see what it does on that high setting. See if we can get it to be more spitty.
All right.
Oh, you can go as spitty as you like. It's all right in here now. You know, it's just where you put the tone and the volume is the amount of phlegm and saliva.
Yeah.
That's what I call these controls: phlegm and saliva. That you get into spittiness. Yeah,
all right.
It can get as nasty as you want, which they say it can get pretty nasty if you want to, and I would agree. I'm going to go one more time with both of them in the high setting with something that just looking for a really good, usable rock and roll tone. Let's see what I can find.
All right.
Boy, that transparent sort of ampy overdrive thing in the high setting is not there. I mean, it's fuzzy.
Yeah.
So rolling these two back, rolling phlegm and saliva back a little bit, right? I'm in the bridge position because it can get a little flubby. I've got fuzz and bias kind of like rolled back a little bit, kind of like the 9 or 10 o'clock area. Volume to compensate. I've got the boost on the full treble boost, and probably about the same, about 10 o'clock maybe, and. The key is rolling these tone and volumes down to give it a little bit more control over what goes into it. The attack is still pretty sputtery and spitty, but you know, if you play through it and you got a rhythmic thing, it goes pretty well. I don't think it would work as well for solos in this mode like this.
Yeah, it compresses it out.
When you turn the volume up, it still gets a little squished and a little compressed. I think if you're going to do that, you almost got to run it the other way with the tone down and get that old-fashioned-y thing. has that vintage thing going on, though.
Yeah,
It really sounds old.
Yeah, there's a couple of times it's sort of like, oh, there's a Grand Funk sound, and oh, there's a Clapton sound on a few things, right? I think I'm a fan of the lower setting, though. The switch on low.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, I think that's for me where that would be. Because then I can roll my tone back up. That's really good to me. I mean, that's like classic rock city. And I haven't even engaged the boost. I wonder if that could be used as a solo boost. Let's see if that could be used as your solo boost.
All right.
Oh yeah, actually
that's nice.
It's almost like the Blackstone in the 2 channels and the
yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. And the boost side can, as I don't know if you noticed, but at one point, because it can take the volume all the way down, you can actually use it as a volume cut if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. So you could do it the other way, where, you know, have that as the softer side and the other side as the lead channel. So it's kind of cool. You could do it either way.
Yeah, it's pretty versatile. It sounds there's some good cool tones coming out of it.
It can run on a battery as well. You don't have to even use a power supply. You can actually open it up and throw a battery in there.
Oh yeah. Who was doing that for like years? Because they were sure that the batteries sounded better.
Eric Johnson does that in several things, and it only uses 2 milliamps.
Yeah.
So I mean, a battery would last a long time. Yeah, you'll need to change it because of acid. You know,
acid
corrosion. Versus losing power. It's lightweight, but it's well built. As I said, it's all hand tuned using vintage parts and the resistors and the original good stuff that you're supposed to use in these kind of pedals. To me, it definitely sounds vintage. I mean, it has a vintage sound. There's sounds in there I don't personally like, but the same ones might be somebody else's very favorite sound. I don't know, but as far as getting a good open rock and roll sounding thing, which, you know, if you're going to use a Tone Bender and a Rangemaster, you're looking for rock and roll tones.
A little bit.
I think he should feel vindicated. See what I did there?
He should, yeah.
In having built that.
Because it's a Vindicator.
Yeah. So what do you think? Where's the Pedal Skeptic stand on this? Wall of skepticism.
Yeah, well, it does, because it sounds so analog and so kind of so vintage, right? You can pull back all of those tones from if you're trying to do a Grand Funk cover, right?
Right, or your Spirit in the Sky, I think, is probably in there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it works well with the Danish Pete approved trick.
Right.
So I would say I'd probably go yay on it.
Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Seal of approval. There he is. God, he's been waiting in the wings, just seeing if he could come out and flip us off. And look at him.
Yeah.
There he goes. All right. The Vindicator.
Vindicator.
I like it. JDM, Joe Doc Music. Look him up online. I will put links below for all this stuff, of course, as well as Stacy's videos, and even a link to my stuff if you want to take a listen to that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Gear and Gigs. Hope you learned something in spite of us. And we'll see you next time. For Stacy Venn, I'm Jet Stone. Take care now.
so kind. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Until next time,